All right, let's say we are now given h of x equals to, I can use any numbers of my choice actually. The idea was to have two terms at the top. So it can be 3 plus the x and then 2 minus the x. That's the equation. Now the what you call now the derivative or the limit as h approaches 0, h prime as delta x approaches h prime equals to. Now the first thing that we need limit as delta x tends to 0. All right. Remember, I need the numerator first. The numerator, that wherever there is an x, I must put x plus h, isn't it? So I've got 3 plus, here's the new thing that I'm adding. It must be x plus delta x. It's supposed to go in place of x, put it in brackets, but I don't have to put it in brackets. And then divided by, I've got 2 minus, of course this needs to go in bracket, is going to be x plus delta x. All right, I can actually remove those signs. I'm just going to put them as minus. So it's going to be negative x minus the delta x. Now remember, I need to say all over the delta x. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but before I do that, remember I must subtract the original equation, which is that one. So I need to put that in a bracket, that original. It's 3 plus x all over. We're still in the numerator, 2 minus x. So I can just do that, put that in bracket. Then we need a long division. And then all over delta. That's what I'm talking about. I don't like this. This is too big. Divide, 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 divide is too much. Just take the whole page. So all I do, I just put my brackets here, my square brackets there, square brackets there. Well, I can write that all-time division with the 3. I said divided by delta x. So everything is kept on a straight line. It doesn't go to the next line and chow my pages. Can you say that? Yeah. Then you work inside the square brackets, the real brackets. You just do your LCD, your thingy, and simplify. Everything will come out right. So we now have limit as delta x tends to 0. All right. I'll put the brackets later. So, but you're going to need to work, you're going to need LCD. Can you say that? You need LCD here at the bottom, here and here. You've got 2x minus 2 minus x minus delta x and a 2x minus x. You need both of them. So that means right at the bottom, this is what's inside the brackets. I'm having 2 minus the x minus the delta x. I could have kept it without putting the minus, but it's fine. And then divided by 2 minus the x. There we go. All right, so now let's work within those brackets. So the first thing, this stuff here, 2 minus x minus delta x, there it is, it's found here. If I get rid of that, I'm left with 2 minus the x. So the 2 minus the x must multiply numerator. I'm going to write it now. I'm going to keep it for you. 2 minus x must multiply what's at the top, which is the 3, plus the x, and then plus the delta x. Close. There we go. And then the next thing, we've got 2 minus x there, and it appears here. So it means 2 minus x minus delta x must multiply the 3 plus the x. So, but I mustn't forget to put a negative. There's a negative there. So I'm going to put minus, then open the bracket. I've got 3 plus x multiplied by 2 minus the x minus the delta x, close the parenthesis and then close the bracket, and all of that divided by the delta x. Are we good? All right, now we just need to do the multiplications. Whoa, let me copy this stuff and bring it over here. Let's bring it over here. So there we go. All right, so the next thing, again, so we need limit, and then as delta x tends to 0. All right, so we need to multiply here. I'm going to use 2 to FOIL here and use minus x. So if I use 2, I'm having 6, trace me, 6 plus 2x, correct? Plus 2 times the delta x. The 2 is done, correct? Then we use the minus x. So it's going to be minus 3x minus the x squared minus x times the delta x. We're good, right? We're done with this one. Now we come here. Am I right? All right. Okay, let's take that one nice and slow. I know there's a minus here. I'm going to use this minus as well, but once at a time. Let's use a 3. A 3 will times a 2. It's a positive 6, correct? Then we introduce that minus on the outside, minus 6. So it's minus 6. Then the 3 times the minus x. It's minus 3x. Change the sign. Plus 3x. Then the 3 will times the minus delta x. So it's minus 3 times delta x. So it's going to be plus 3 times the delta x. Then it's done. Then let's use the other one. Let's use the x. X times that one is positive 2x. Change the sign. So it's 2x. The x times the minus x squared. It changes the sign. Positive x squared. That and that is minus x delta x is going to be plus x times the delta x. Whoa! See, it's a long numerator. Very good. Yeah. But by the time you extend it like this, you begin to doubt yourself. You said, "Oh my gosh, I must have made a mistake." No, you haven't. All right, and then the bottom will stay as is. I'm going to copy it and place it there because it's a multiplication. Now, because I don't have space here, I want to bring that x. Remember this one. You can make it a multiplication and write it as 1 over delta x. You know that, am I right? Therefore, this x will be together with that denominator there. So I'm just going to place it there, right at the bottom, right at the end. So I'm just going to write times by the delta x there. And it needs to zap out that one. All right, we need to take it nice and steady and see what's going to cancel. The first thing that cancel, that positive 6 and a negative 6. Agreed? All right, next one. The positive 2x and a negative 2x. Agreed? And then I'm looking at the x squared. Let me see if there's something else. Yeah, I'm going to look at the x squared. The x squared here negative x squared rather, and the x squared there, they cancel, correct? All right. The minus 3x and the 3x, they cancel, correct? What must be left? It must have delta x in order to cancel. Look what's left. It has delta x, that one. Another, it has delta x, that one. And another there, it has delta x, that one, the blue one. And then the orange one has delta x. So we can pull out delta x as a common vector. Do you see that, my friend? Yeah. So I'm just going to get rid of what's above there. Let me shift this above instead of moving to the next page. All right. So we now have limit as delta x. It's what I was telling you. I said it must cancel first. So I'm going to pull it out as delta x there. And then in the brackets, I don't have to add the like terms. With this one, you'll be left with a positive 2. And then the next one, which is this one, you're left with the minus x, that white one. And then the next one, which is that bluish, you're left with a positive 3. And then where do we go? We go to the orange one, you're left with just the x. So plus the x, close the parenthesis, and then all over. All right, we need this. That same denominator is going to show up. Let's paste it here at the bottom. There we go. Then delta x cancelled delta x. Now it's about time to do the substitution of 0 after the cancellation of the delta x. All right, so delta x tends to 0. Let me see if I can add these guys. I've got 2 plus 3, it's a 5. The x will cancel. At the top, I've got the 5. At the bottom, do you agree we've got the 5 at the top, isn't it? All right, at the bottom, we just left with that yellow portion of the denominator. So there it is. It's time to place 0 where there is delta x. Well, delta x is just here. So yeah, that means here where I'm deleting with the red, that will be gone. Look what you left with. You left with 2 minus x and 2 minus x. It will be squared, isn't it? Because it's 2 of the same. Am I right? So the answer will be 5. And then all over 2 minus x, close the parenthesis, all squared. That's the answer. Now, let me say this while I'm still at this one. This question, it was rational. It was a fraction. Can you see that? A quotient. We could have gone chop by using the quotient rule, this one, to get an answer. Look, the bottom will be squared. The 2 minus x will be squared. I put 2 minus x here. 2 minus x must be squared. And that's exactly what we're getting. The only thing, first principle, it's like you're taking a longer way to do it. It's not a shortcut. Rules of derivative, they're basically shortcut.